All right. X to the fourth minus 10x squared plus 25. We're going to solve higher levels. So definitely the last section of this course is more advanced algebra. So that's definitely a more advanced equation. X to the fourth. So we're going to higher powers. X to the fourth here.
Can't you root that?
Root it? Just like throw a root on it?
Yeah.
Like the whole thing or just that part?
What you do to one side, you have to do the other side.
So do the whole side? Do the whole side like that? Yeah, let's talk about it. I think it is important. I learned a lot of math by learning what I could not do. So let's talk about it. I would go to my teacher. I would go to my teachers and I would say exactly what you're saying, Renee. I'd say, why can't I just throw a root on both sides? And they would slap me around and say, come on, Heron. Remember I said blah, 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 blah. And I go, yeah, I was tired that day. I don't know. Anyway, so, really, though, it's important to learn why other things can't work before you do learn what's right. So if I did that, that's okay, first step. But then what would I do from there? Are we saying we think that's going to become x squared? And that's just going to become x? Well, I've got multiple problems with that, making it not true. First off, you cannot square separate things that are Costco glued together. Those are plussed and they are minused, which means no separate treatment. You buy the whole package, you root the whole thing, or you root nothing. You do not root the parts you like best. Right? That's no such thing. And what are we going to do with that 10? Did I just not root the 10 just because I wasn't in the root 10 mood or because he doesn't root nicely? See, that's all not true, is it? I'm not trying to mock Renee's idea. I'm sure many people wonder that. But do you see all the problems with that? All the things that just make that simply not true. Right? You cannot root individual parts that are plussed and minus together. So we can't do that for multiple reasons. So what do we do then? So that's not what we do. Probably most of you just want to know, what do we do? Yeah, just factor it. It's just a big old factoring with higher powers. Exactly. So double parenthesis, you know the whole thing, what multiplies to be 25 adds to be minus 10. But what do you think I'm going to put in the parentheses? If whatever's in the front here has to multiply to be x to the fourth, yeah, x squared, huh? Because powers add, right? 2 and 2 is 4. Right, you're right. And what multiplies to be 25? 5 and 5. What signs do I need if I want them to add to be negative 10? Both negative. Two negatives. They multiply to be positive 25 and they add to be negative 10, right? That's correct. Right on the money. Now, remember the next step logically. Two things are timesing to equal 0. If you multiply two things and it's 0, what does that mean? The first one is 0 or the second one is 0, right? If two things times to be 0, the first one could be 0 because 0 times anything can be 0. Or the second one could be 0 because anything times 0 is 0. And that's the same thing twice, so I don't need to do it twice. There's no point in doing the same thing twice. Let's just solve this one and we'll have solved them both. So how do I solve this one?
X equals the square root of 5.
Yeah, good. Remember when you just have x squared and no numbers, no regular x, just x squared and numbers, no regular x, you can just get it alone and root it. Remember that? It's easier. So just x squared is 5. Just move it over to plus 5, right? And then what do? Throw the root on it. And when I put a roof on the house, it rains. Up and down the ladder, right? I have a friend that just happened to. It's not even funny. A couple months ago, they had the roof off their house to have some roof work done. You know how we were having those freak rains like a month ago or 2 months? It was like 2 months ago probably, or maybe 3. It's like 2. Near the end of summer, then we'd have suddenly, they had the roof off and the roofer looked at, it was done in the afternoon and said, I'm going to go home. I don't need to put the plastic to cover. He was like half done. The roof was half open. He said, I'm not going to put the plastic on. He even had it there. Not to put the plastic on. It's all good. We're in the middle of summer here, whatever. He left and it rained and tons of water damage. And anyway, insurance is paying, but oh, what a pain. Anyway, so the answers are plus or minus root 5. Plus or minus root 5. And we're done. That's it. Is that good? Is that okay? Wasn't too terrible, right?
It's going to get harder.
Yeah. Look at that one. X squared minus 6x squared minus 11 times x squared minus 6x minus 80 equals 0. What are we going to do here? That looks like a big mess, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you notice how we have the same repeated thing, same thing twice? This is what they're going to do in this section over and over and over and over again. They're going to give you the same thing. This and this are exactly the same, aren't they? And they're going to do this over and over and over and over and over and over again in this section. And so you know what we're going to do? Here's what we're going to do to help with this. Is we're going to say, okay, that big piece, that x squared minus 6x thing, let's call that by a different name. This is a little more advanced math here. We're going to say, hey, you're u now.
Okay, so even though one of them has a square and one of them doesn't have a square?
Well, yeah, he's going to be u squared. This will be 11u. Yeah, no, good point. It's like that. Yeah. So that means the x squared minus 6x part is now being called by the name u. It's simply renaming. That's all it is right now. You can do that anytime you want. See, I'm going to call you Joe, right? Do you understand what I'm saying? I have a new dog. You're going to be Rover, right? You just give it a name. That's all I'm doing. I'm saying, hey, that x squared minus 6x thing, I'm going to name it Rover. I'm going to name it U. And so wherever I see it, I'm going to say, oh, that's U. Now, why? Because look at that now. That's easy to solve, isn't it? It makes it so much easier to solve. I can solve it. Yeah, I can just factor that.
Okay, but it's not gonna...
But then we're going to have to go back eventually, huh? And we will. But it'll be way nicer than it would have been. So this makes sense so far. So I'm just simply renaming right now. It's just simply a renaming, and what they call it is substitution. I just substituted, right? I just let u take the place of the x squared minus 6x. It's just renaming, substitution. Now, solve the u equation. And you know how to do that, right? Because now we can handle that. That's more normal, right? What are two things that multiply to be 80? Add, it's going to be u's in the front. What times what is 80? And somehow make a negative 11 in the middle. I don't know. I thought it was easy. What is it? I don't know. Use your calculator. 80 divided by 2, divided by 3, divided by 4. Divided.
16 and 5.
Is that what it is? Thank you. 16 and 5. 5 and 16. Just divide by things in your calculator until you find it. Good. Thank you. 5 and 16. 5 and 16. Those multiply to be 80. Now, how do the signs go? You guys with me so far? Yeah, the sign in the middle goes on the bigger, the 16. So minus 16 plus 5 is minus 11 in the middle. They multiply to be negative 80. It's all good. So what are the two answers for you? Negative 5 and positive. Remember, it's opposite, right? Positive 16. You good so far? Now, we're not done. Because the original question wasn't u. Right? It was x. So I got that. That's all kind of, it's like a sandwich. That was like the middle of the sandwich. That was the u work. Now we're done with the u work, but so what? They asked me x in the beginning. Right? They wanted, right here's the question. They want to know what x equals, not what u equals. I found what u equals, but u was the thing I made up halfway through. I got to go back and answer what x equals. Well, how do you do that? Well, I resub back out. In other words, u is negative 5. What's u? It's this, remember? U took the place of x squared minus 6x. So I say if u is negative 5, then x squared minus 6x is negative 5. And if u is 16, then x squared minus 6x is 16. Everybody see that? You resub back out. So you go to u, because it's easier, do the u work, and then come back out of u at the end of the u work, back into x. Everybody see that? Remember, u was a made-up name to represent x squared minus 6x. So when you're done with u, you remember again, oh yeah, u is just x squared minus 6x. That's what it took the place of to begin with. Does everybody see that? And now you just solve. Now these two I can solve. They're not that unreasonable. They're not like the original crazy gigantic thing. I can solve, now you just solve these two and then you're completely done. Just solve both of
The
them.
first one, x squared, x to the second minus 6x squared.
Yeah,
So you have to FOIL it.
no, you're confused. I'll come back. Let's just finish it up. So, well, let me say it again this way. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what's in the original. Remember? Because u took the place of x squared minus 6x. U is x squared minus 6x, right? I could have written you are x squared minus 6, and wrong buttons here. U is x squared minus 6x. Do y'all see that? That's why up here, let me make this more clear for you. That's why up here, when it said x squared minus 6x squared, that became u squared. U is just x squared minus 6x. That's all u is.
Oh, and then we broke that down.
If this was x squared minus 6x to the 10th, then that would have been u to the 10th. You guys with me? U is just x squared minus 6x. He took the place of x squared minus 6x.
Okay.
Anywhere I see x squared minus 6x, that's u. U is in his place. U is him. He is you. They are one, right? U and x squared minus 6x. They're two names. They're synonyms for the same stuff. Is everybody seeing that? U is x squared minus 6x. That's why this whole equation, which was x squared minus 6x squared, became u squared. Right? So at the end, when I've got u, I go, oh yeah, what was that all along? It was x squared minus 6x. So it doesn't matter to me what's in the beginning now. I've got the answer for u. And u is what? X squared minus 6x. So now I can finish this up. Bring this over. X squared minus 6x plus 5 equals 0. Factor that little thing, I think. Is it minus 1 minus 5? Yeah. Minus 1 minus 5, right? Multiplies to be plus 5. Adds to be minus 6. So the answers here are 1 and 5. Positive, both. And then the other side, bring the 16 over. Let me do a different color over here. So x squared minus 6x minus 16 is 0. 2 and 8. Sign in the middle, sign in the bigger. Opposite, opposite. Negative 2 plus 8. 4 answers. No surprise, the original equation was x squared squared. It's like fourth power, 4 answers. 1, 5, negative 2, and 8. They're all 4 answers. And you just type all 4 with a comma. You don't separate them. In other words, the answer will be 1, 5, negative 2, 8. Any order.
Okay.
All 4 are valid answers to the original question. No need to check. That's nice.
How was it? 1, 5,
Plug them in.
8.
One at a time. Yeah, we don't want to do that. 1, 5, negative 2, 8. Any order. 4 answers.
It's really not as complicated.
Right, this is the format we're going to do again and again and again. We're going to do what this is called U sub. So we're going to let U substitute in for the mess. You're going to have repeated messes, and you're going to say, that's just U. Solve the U, and then go back to the original and solve that. It's like 2 problems in 1.
Will they always factor?
No, sometimes we got to do the quad.
Yeah.
Yeah. We good on that? Now, this is where they're going to start bringing everything in now. This is a language. Algebra is a language. And so that's why people fall out, because they flaked around at the earlier levels, and when it gets high like this and they start putting it all together, some of these problems will involve factoring and quadratic formula and graphing and intercepts, and they'll all be in one. And if you have holes in your background, you run into trouble. That's the truth. So if you want to succeed, you got to keep it all together. You got to study. You can't just take a week off of school and not learn anything and then it's all okay. That doesn't work when you're learning a language, right? You got to keep the language building. It's got a repeated mess. All right, so do you see the repeated mess? That parenthesis repeated thing? 1 plus root x squared plus 1 plus root x. So you see that repeated mess, repeated mess? What am I going to call that 1 plus root x thing?
U.
Rover, or U. Yeah. You're going to make up a new name for it, right? It's going to become U. And so this equation will become u squared plus u minus 2. And that's way easier. And once you solve that, then you're at the end, you'll go back and now what was u? Oh yeah, it was 1 plus root x. Now remember, u was just 1 plus root x. It wasn't 1 plus root x squared. Right? U is just 1 plus root x. Right? Let's try that. Good. 5, 3, and 1. Huh? Whoops. Uh-oh. What did I just do? Bad. There, we good? 1, 3, and 5. Make a note.
Oh, okay. So, yeah.
Okay, then solve the u. So u, what multiplies to be negative 2 adds to be positive 1? 2 and 1, sign in the middle, sign in the bigger, plus 2 minus 1.
Yeah.
They multiply to be negative 2, they add to be plus 1 in the middle. And then so you separate it, opposite sign, so u is minus 2 or plus 1. We good so far? And now we go, okay, there's the middle of the sandwich. The u works in the middle. And you begin and end with x work. Right? The problem started with x, and we said, oh, that's too hard. Let's change to u. Did our u work, got our u answers, and now we go, okay, let's go back now to the original question. What was u? U was a made-up name taking the place of 1 plus root x. Good? So if u is negative 2, then 1 plus root x is negative 2. Because u was made up to represent 1 plus root x. Good to there? Those two guys solve both those equations. It always breaks into two equations. You see the pattern? It always breaks into two separate equations. Now, can you solve those two? I think you can. We've done that a few times. So solve those. So how do you solve, this will be on our exam Monday, be on our practice exam day after tomorrow, Wednesday. What do you do whenever you have a root in a problem? Get it alone and 2 power both sides, right? Remember that? So first get it alone. So root x is negative 3. And then 2 power, 2 power. Remember, 2 power can't. Remember, 2 powers and roots are opposites of each other. They always undo each other. You guys getting the hang of that? That's a big theme in this section. If you had a 2 power, you root it. You got a root, you 2 power it. They undo each other. And that's 9. But there's no way that answer is going to be right. Remember, you got to check any problem that begins with roots. Remember that? That answer is no way. How do I know that answer is no way right? Look what it just came from. You guys want help so you don't have to check everything all the time? Look at what it came from. Look at what it came from. Square root of x is negative 3. What could you ever put in here?
Can't ever have it.
Yeah, 9's not. We said the answer was 9. Is that true? Is the square root of 9 negative 3? No, that's not going to work. That's a bogus answer. Now, why it looked true is because we squared both sides. You see, it buried the minus sign. That's the problem. That's why we got a false answer. So if you check that one, back in the original or anywhere, it'll not work. So that's a false answer. Subtract 1 here. Square root of x is 0. 2 power both sides. And so x is 0 times 0?
0.
Is that answer good? Yeah, that one will work. You can check it. It's true. That's the only answer. The answer is 0 after all that work. But it is an answer. It's a valid answer. It is 0. You can see it's true. Look at the original up there. You put in 0 here and 0 here. 1 plus 0 is 0. No, let me try that again. 1 plus 0 is 1. 1 squared is 1. Plus 1 is 2. Minus 2 is 0. It's true. All right, have you had enough math for the day?